Hello, it's Dr. Darnise. And I know I came on with this random pop up live. Hey, y'all, hey. It's been a minute. I'm going to just sit here for a sec and maybe go through my tarot right now. But I've been thinking about doing live streams because it's a lot, y'all, for me to do videos regularly. Like I should do them more regularly. But it's kind of a lot because of my schedule overall. And what I'm thinking is I would like to be a lot more like for us to have a lot more community rather than just videos, which you may or may not see. Um, and anyway, I would just like to have more community and feedback, and have us get to know each other a bit. So I'm thinking of doing these Sunday live streams. Let me know how you think about that when you watch this replay. Just put over there in the chat. Do we want to do weekly? Well, I'm not going to say weekly. I'm not even going to say weekly. Let's just say regular live streams. Anybody up for regular live streams? Um, and yeah, so Black History Month gives us a good opportunity to come on here and chat about some things that are affecting Black people. Uh, it's always a lot. I'm pulling a couple cards for myself. When you come early, you might get, some attention from the tarot deck. This is the Rider-Waite deck, Rider-Waite Smith deck. Pamela Coleman Smith made these cards, made the artwork for these cards. So listen, it's Black History Month. Every year we do this thing in February where we acknowledge our history. Now on this channel, I do it all the time anyway, right? This channel is about religion and magic and history. It's about uplifting us as a people always. And in February, some people catch up with us. Sometimes they don't. There's a whole lot of anti-DEI. It's one of the things I want to talk about is the pushback on DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so that's been a big bugaboo lately, is that the conservatives, they're anti-DEI. So I say, if you're anti-DEI, what are you for? Leadership should be white in all spaces, right? Hello, hello, hello. My viewers here. Put something in the chat. Let me know you're here. Hello. If you're anti-DEI, does it seem to you that all the spaces should be white? How can you be anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion? Also, I wanted to talk about some of our women in high places who are under intense scrutiny. Black women are being, well, I'm going to use that word. I'm good to see you. Black women are under the target. I mean, I hate to use certain language on YouTube, and I just hate to use certain language. So I'm just going to say, we have seen the resignation of now former president from Harvard, Claudine Gay, under intense scrutiny. We have seen Dr. Bonnie. She was the VP at Lincoln University, who took her own life. Shall we just call it what it was? She was under pressure at her institution, right? And we know that the president of that HBCU, somebody tell me why the president of that HBCU is a white man who used to be the basketball coach. How come there's a white coach who is the head coach at the HBCU? Somebody make it make sense. First of all, and then Dr. Bonnie was sharing her the issues that she was facing at work, right? We have the records that she sent, the emails and whatnot that she sent, talking about how she was being unfairly treated and that her workload was too much. And so she was saying to upper management and everybody that something was wrong and needed to change, and they ignored her. As Black women, we know that that is often the case Black women are expected to do a lot of work all the time, to be workhorses. We even have a whole syndrome, the strong Black woman. We've been wrapping ourselves in the idea of a strong Black woman for, I don't know, centuries. Black women are just supposed to be strong. And while that might be good in some cases, it is actually exhausting for us. And we have to balance that out. We cannot be a strong Black woman all the time, because then no one hears us when we say enough is enough. Nobody takes that seriously when we say enough is enough. They still expect us to show up and do all the things, right? To run the church, because it's Black women running the church, right? They expect us to show up and do all the things, run the household. Some Black men be mad because, okay, Black women are not soft enough or whatever. So we gotta come up with something else. It's not healthy for us as Black women. It's not healthy for us as a community to say that Black women need to bear the responsibility. And we see now that the conservatives have decided that they're going to target Black women in leadership. Also, Fani Willis here in Georgia, Fani Willis, who is the DA, who is prosecuting that man who's running for president again. They've been at her. They've been after her ever since, from the beginning, right? They have been after her from the beginning. And now they feel like they have something because she had a relationship with somebody, with a coworker. So they think that that's enough to discredit her, and it is enough to, get her removed from the case. They've been looking for ways to do this. So Black women have been under scrutiny for a good minute now from the conservatives. And we have to say within our own communities as well. So as we talk about Black History Month, I'm on here talking about Black women in particular, because Black women hold a special place within our communities of having to carry a very heavy load in our communities, to be the ones to fix things, to be the ones to maintain things, to raise children. And I'm not one of those people who's going to talk bad about Black men. No, there's lots of things that Black men have to deal with. There's a lot of scrutiny and pressure and stress Black men have to deal with. But in this case, I am specifically addressing the things that Black women have to deal with. I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine, and we were talking about the great, how we have the idea of the great man, like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, or Booker T. Washington, whoever, the great man. And I said, well, what do we really know about the women they were married to? Now, Martin Luther King Jr., everybody knows Coretta Scott King, but does anybody know Coretta Scott King? Really? Not really, until Jonathan Major started talking about her and telling his girlfriends that he needed a Coretta or a Betty, right? So how much do we really know about Betty Shabazz, Malcolm X's wife? People don't really know. What about Frederick Douglass's wife? Black woman, right? Then he got remarried, married a white woman. So if we go through history and we see the people who are called the great man, we see that there is a great woman there as well. But oftentimes we actually know nothing about the great Black women who are at the side of the great Black men who are doing the work of the civil rights movement. I was talking to my friend about Paul Robeson, one of the great, well, really, Paul Robeson was a Renaissance man. If you don't know Paul Robeson, please do Google him. One of my favorite people from history. He was the most famous Black man of his time, and a great singer, actor. He portrayed Othello on the stage when Black people weren't allowed to be Black people on stage. You heard me right. Black people weren't allowed to be Black people on stage. Paul Robeson took on the role of Othello from Shakespeare, if you're knowing about Shakespeare, right? So usually that role of Shakespeare, the role of the African Moor, was played by white men in blackface, because he's married to a white woman in the play. And so because of American racism, you couldn't have that. Couldn't have a Black man handling or kissing a white woman on stage. So Paul Robeson was a great man. And, not many people know about his wife, Islanda. Essie, as they called her, Essie Robeson. So anyway, I'm here to uplift Black women. To that end, I'm doing a summit. I want to bring y'all's attention to my Black Woman Success Summit is running starting this week, actually. So February the 8th through the 10th. I'm going to write that in the chat over here. You will have to put it in your browser. I think Black Women Success Summit. I do coaching. I do private coaching. People ask me about that all the time. Yes, I do private coaching for Black women over 40. Really is who I serve. And this is one of the ways that I uplift Black women, offer support. We have to be our own support system a lot of times. So it's free to register, blackwomensuccesssummit.com. We're getting started February 8th through 10th. So it's virtual. It's virtual, so you can just watch the videos February 8th through 10th. And so what else? I wanted to talk about Reverend Dr. Gina Stewart. Did y'all hear? She was the first Black woman to preach for the National Black Baptists. What year is it? Is it 2024? And we just now having a woman. We just now having one, because missionary Baptists are very conservative. In Black church tradition, missionary Baptists are very conservative, and so Black women can't preach. Black women can't preach. But we know Black women do. We know Black women do a whole lot in the church. And so here it is, Reverend Dr. Gina Stewart. She is a minister. She is a pastor of her church in Memphis, Christ Missionary Baptist Church. Right? There are a lot of Black women with all the accolades, all the degrees, all the everything, but can't talk in church. Now, y'all remember that Paula White? Remember Paula White and that whole scandal? Remember Paula White? You know Paula White, the televangelist. Remember how she was calling on those African angels? But anyway, she had her come up. Paula White had her come up in the Black church, and it was Black women who supported her. So write that in the chat. Yes, I remember Paula White. Or no, I don't remember Paula White, but it was a scandal of sorts because Paula White came up. She had her come up in the Black church, supported by Black women, her little church in Florida. Paula White. Paula who? I know Paula who. Paula White, televangelist, had her come up, right? Black women supported her in her little church in Florida. And then she got on all the big stages, right? The Black male preachers let her come on their stages, T.D. Jakes and everybody. All the prominent Black male ministers let Paula White come on their stages and to preach. And then she turned her back, as they do. Because when she got in proximity to power, when Paula White got in proximity to power in that White House, she then act like, Black people who? I am one. Black people who? Because then she was just all enamored with being, 45 spiritual advisor. So if you Google, you're going to see, you remember I did a whole video about it. That video blew up, y'all. That video blew up for me because people were like, what? And she started calling on in order to get him reelected. Remember, 45, she wanted to get him reelected because she was a spiritual advisor. So she wanted to pray. I remember she started to pray to the angels from Africa. I know you got to remember because it's so hilarious and ridiculous at the same time. Pray for the angels to come from Africa and South America to help him get reelected. Just ridiculousness. So anyway, and it was Reverend Jamal Bryant. Reverend Jamal Bryant from, what's he at Missionary Baptist Church right now, which used to be Eddie Long's church. Y'all come with me on our Black church tour that we're doing right this minute. Jamal Bryant is pastor of New Birth in Atlanta, took over for Eddie Long after Eddie Long died. And so when Paula White was like doing her thing over there in the White House for that man, and then did that whole Angels from Africa thing, Roland Martin had Pastor Jamal Bryant come on to talk about that. And he admitted it. He said, you know what? We as Black male ministers have made space for white women but we have not acknowledged or made space for our Black women in ministry who are gifted and who are educated. He said that's our fault. It's on us. Because again, Black women run the church, right? Except for when it comes down to being a pastor. And so the pastor gets to say who else can come into the pulpit. Meanwhile, the place is full of Black women who are doing all the work. So anyway, in this Black History Month, I am lifting up Black women and Black women's work in the church, Black women's work in all kind of spirituality, right? Because obviously I'm not just about the Christian church at all, right? Black people are spiritually diverse. That is why I do religion. That is why I wrote this book called Beyond Christianity, African Americans in a New Thought Church. My book is called Beyond Christianity because we as a people are not a monolith. We are not all just Christian. We are not all Christian in the same way. Some of us are Muslim, some of us are Hoodoo, some of us are belong to Ifa or Vodun. There's a lot going on out here spiritually, right? Some people are of no denomination at all, right? Some people are spiritual but not religious, and Black people are all doing all kinds of things. I have been putting up some videos and some community posts about various Black leaders in spaces that we don't normally think about Black leadership, like in Buddhism, Black spiritual teachers who are channels, who are mystics, right? I've been saying and trying to promote Black people, Black spiritual leaders who are in a variety of spiritualities, because we're everywhere. We're not a monolith, and we're not going to be told that we all have to fit in any one spot. I got my tarot cards right here, y'all. And so like Black people will do tarot. Yes, of course. And the thing about how Black people do religion by mixing things together anyways, especially in this so-called new world. In the United States, Black people had to do religion and mix things together. We brought from Africa our worldview that you don't just wait until one day of the week to worship your God. It was an integral part of the way you lived, right? Spirituality is an integral part of the way you live. You don't just put it on the shelf and say, well, I'll just be religious or spiritual on one day, right? For African people, spirituality was woven into the very way you live. And then, being forced to come over to this country and be introduced to American Christianity the way we were, then Black Americans have to figure out how we going to bring our Africanisms and our African gods and survive in this world order here. How are we going to survive in this world order that says there's no African drumming, right? You're not supposed to, you don't have anything, right? You're heathens and, savages in Africa. Take Jesus Christ the way we tell you to take Jesus Christ, and that's all you can do. But African people were already more creative than that, already more clever than that. So we mixed some things together. We didn't let everybody know what we were doing. You got to move in silence, don't you? You got to move in silence. We had our own way of speaking. We had our own way of communicating through the music. It was an invisible institution, right? That's what it's called, invisible institution, because that's the way Black people do religion. So when I put up, y'all would have to go back through the community posts. I don't know if you can, but when I look at different like Buddhist teachers, Black Buddhist teachers, the way Black Buddhist teachers do it is going to be Black. And there's one woman in particular, I have been watching a lot of her stuff. Her name, I want to write her name in the chat. I feel like I'm in class. Zenju, Earthland Zenju Manuel. I've been using her. She has this beautiful prayer called Breathe Yourself Back Home. So if you want to look at that, breathe yourself back home. Back home. Okay. So Earthland, or it might be Zenju, because I think that's her title, Earthland Manuel. But she talks to the Black woman, and she talks about drumming. She talks about African spirituality as a Buddhist. And so I've been watching a lot of her video or her interviews that people have conducted with her and her podcast, as she does something that's very unusual. And some people apparently in Zen Buddhism, which is her spiritual home, they don't necessarily appreciate it. But she said, well, I can't help but do this because I'm a Black person. Like, did you notice? And so she's going to do Buddhism. She's going to mix it together, right? And you might also know of, and if not, I'll put it here for you, Lama Rod Owen. Lama Rod Owen, he is an African American Buddhist teacher as well. Again, you got YouTube right here. You can just search these people on YouTube and watch their interviews. But my point being is that Black people, we do it all, right? And while I got my tarot here, I am one, more than one way to divine or hear from spirit. You know, a lot of times people would go to the hoodoo doctor or go to get their cards read or go for some kind of divination after they went to church, after they went to the regular church, right? And then they would leave and go do their spiritual stuff. And that's part of who we are, is that we understand, like, there's no limit to how we can, as you put it over here, I am one. There's no limit on the way that we can divine or hear from spirit. Got to get ourselves in alignment with spirit. And there's lots of ways to do that. And we're not going to be limited, right? Now, I know some people are, because some people who are, you know, conservative about their religion, if they're Jew, Christian, or Muslim, they're very conservative and they don't want to mix things together. But what I know is, because I'm Black and I've been watching the way Black people do religion, right? And as a scholar, watching how Black people do religion, oh, we're doing multiple things. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to give a shout out to Reverend Dr. Gina Stewart. She was the first person first Black woman to speak at this Black Baptist gathering. Here we are, 2024. The other thing I want to say real quick, because I don't want to keep y'all on here. I said it right at the beginning, in case you were not here. I'm thinking about coming on here and doing these lives, maybe, you know, some Sundays, maybe every other Sunday, so we can build community. You know, it's hard for me to continue to do the videos. I don't necessarily do them as regularly as I want to because of my schedule, but it seems to me like I could do lives because I would have community. And it is more interesting. And so we could also do some things on Patreon. You look for the video I did on the color purple. I posted a video on the color purple, and I talked about, again, the way, this thing is about to show some ads, y'all. Should I skip ads? No, I don't know. Okay. I talked about the ways in which African American women in the color purple were demonstrating their spirituality. And I said, I want to do a class. I mean, like maybe like 2 sessions. I'm not going to do no whole long involved thing. I know you don't have time either, but I might do like 2 sessions of a class for Patreon. So if you follow me on Patreon, then you would get access to that. But I would be talking about womanist theology, which is a branch of theology for Black women, right? It is part of liberation theology created by James Cone, Katie Cannon. And so when I look at the color purple, I'm like, it's so much religion. It's so much spirituality. We're looking at Black women's spirituality when we look at the color purple. And so I just want to ask y'all, whoever is here on here with me, do you want to have some regular ongoing live streams? Right? So we can come on here and catch up and talk about the things that are affecting us as a community, talk about the things that are going on in terms of spirituality out here. And, you know, maybe I'll do some readings live or something. I don't know. It's not a tarot channel, but but I did do some shorts of a tarot draw. Yes. Okay. I have one. And then Sunday's the best day for me, probably this time. Later in the afternoon, early evening time is when I would do it. After I go to my bar class, you know, I do bar for my workout. It's very hard. But again, as Black people, we have to take care of ourselves, and we have to work out and eat better. This is a side tangent. I was in the grocery store today after I left my workout class, and I said to one of the guys working there, because they had this whole bucket of chitlins. Again, I'm in Savannah, Georgia. Whole buckets of chitlins they were selling on sale for $20. And I said, who's still eating that? And he said, it's the South. We still eat that. And I was like, we got to take care of ourselves. We got to take care of our bodies. We got to take care of our health. And we have to be willing to do things that are uncomfortable. I know, right? We have to be willing to do things that are temporarily uncomfortable. We got to be willing to change up the way we've been doing things, like too much sugar in the diet, too much sitting around doing nothing, obesity and all kind of health issues are rampant in our communities. And we just got to tell the truth. We just got to tell the truth and say, yeah, we got to do something about that. Anyway, it's kind of my tangent because I was going to my bar class, which is the ballet bar. It's the workout. It's like the warm up for ballet dancers. Y'all seen the ballet bar with the literal bar, right? And so I do that workout, and my legs are still like noodles right now. It is a very tough workout, but I decided I need to do something because I'm on this computer all the time. Sitting here looking into a computer, and I have to get up and move around. And that's one of the things I challenge myself. And I challenge us as Black people to keep reading, to stay reading, to stay prayed up in whatever system you use, because we need everything in our community to stay strong, right? Because it's crazy out here. We can't even talk about Black history. I don't know what they're doing in Florida. Right? What are they doing in Florida right now where you are not allowed to talk about African American history? Are they just going to skip the whole Black History Month? I don't know. But I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Let me know what else you might want to talk about. I appreciate you being on here probably the longest with me, whoever else is here. Put in the chat some things that you might want me to talk about on these live streams. Again, I want us to be a community. I want us to get to know each other. And, somebody's going to ask me for some coaching or something. I know people always ask me for that. And maybe, but go to my blackwomensuccesssummit.com site and get registered. If you are a Black woman, especially over 40, because that's really my niche, Black women at midlife, Black women over 40. You see, I wrote that book 40 something, or go pick up that book on Amazon, 40 something. Yeah, it's my self-promotion right there a little bit. But I just feel like it would be better in a way to have regular communication rather than just a video, because, video is static. But this way, I get to hear back from you too. So anyway, I guess I'm going to get off of here right now and wish y'all a very pleasant afternoon. And I will be back. I don't know, maybe next week, maybe just Sundays. We'll start doing it like that and see how people show up. See if this is the best time for people to show up. Okay, I appreciate you. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. I hope you have subscribed. Have a great week. Thank you, you too. All right, subscribe. And that's it. Bye for now.